All right, now for a funner topic.
And our point of the build is to try to make it strong, obviously to look real cool. Want to make sure there's nothing on it that's going to cut the baby or anything like that.
Walker's crib is probably, that's all you're going to hear. It's heavy, and cool. It's cool.
So Shane decided to build a custom crib as a gift for Walker. And true to Shane's fashion, it's big and it's heavy.
The only thing shocking about Walker's crib is it's really, really heavy.
Cass, should you be up there? I don't know if that thing's strong enough.
The thing is very heavy.
It weighs at least 50 pounds. Might be more like 70.
I think he kind of realized we were going a little heavy.
But the only thing missing from the base right now is a thin shitty steel that's going to go right here, which will also make it significantly heavier. So my guess is this right here is going to be probably somewhere between 70 and 100 pounds for just this portion of it.
So I guess that's really not that shocking. I built it, so it's heavy. How did it start? Basically, Mandy met Quentin and they fell in love. Then Mandy comes to Dad and says, I need a crib. And me being stupid, I'm like, why? So, because there's just certain things that a father doesn't want to believe. I'm not going to go any deeper than that. But she informs me that I have to have a crib.
Dad's timeline varies a lot from mine. I remember us discussing this, but we discussed it actually when we were in Montana, which would have been like December or January of last year, because we were up there over the holidays like we usually do.
But I have all the time in the world. There's no rush. There's no rush for this crib. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to know what you want. How big do you want it to be? Where do you want it?
I had sketched out like the dimensions of what I wanted. I told him I wanted spots for shelves below so we could put like diapers and everything, because our apartment's very small. So we wanted to be able to conserve space as much as possible, and cribs usually have a lot of dead space.
And then this is where her bins are going to slide in and out. She wanted 5 inches there, so we gave her 5 inches there, and then this will be pretty close to 7 down here. And then when we're done, there'll be slats right up here, which is where the mattress will sit. So your mattress is going to be about at this height. And then of course we'll be building walls up the sides and the ends.
So I put a lot of thought into like how I wanted it to function, but I didn't put a ton of thought into like looks. I just told him that look, it needs to be this size for the mattress. I want the rails to be this height. I want the base to be this height, and the goal is once he gets older, we can take the front side of the crib off and actually have it be a day bed, so he could use it when he's a toddler.
For a long time, we were just waiting, trying to get Mandy to give us the dimensions she wanted us to start based off of.
And no answer, no answer, no answer. She keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and she got really big. And so then all of a sudden there's like a week left, and she's like, now I'm in a hurry. You got to get this thing done. I mean, right now.
Again, I gave him all these details, and it would have been in January of 2020.
Took a lot of force to get that out of her. And then once we finally did, Dad kind of worked together a beginning outline of what we're doing. So I started my framing fabrication type. We didn't really have any of the details worked out yet.
I start building the crib with Cassie.
All right, so what you have to do now, you're not gonna move any of this stuff. So right now it's mainly about getting this perfectly flush and holding it and then square. You know, see this little rock? You gotta hold it perfectly flat and then adjust that to where it's where you want it. Okay, and then we'll go split the difference on that little gap that's there. So you can take a little bit that way. You keep pushing it towards me. I'm just gonna split that. I like that. You satisfied? You're saying it's too high? Then I would check your measurement in here and see whether or not you cut your tubing the right length. Welcome to my world. I told you perfection is what we're going for on this one. Because you'll see that if that ain't the same. So what we can do is, which one's wrong? That one? No, we're not doing that. Because I'm gonna work. One of them works temporarily to hold this so I can weld this in here, and then you can go make that fit after the fact. She wanted to leave. And I got these two things staring at me, and I would have just been standing here waiting. How uncool would that have been? You in a good spot? Mm-hmm. You're good? Okay, close your eyes. Okay, I'm completely baffled with what you did here, so take it out. Why would you not have held this over here like this one? And now tell me how that's my fault. Look at the gap right here. Yeah, so redo. Because if Walker ends up like his old man, he's gonna be freaking huge. How big's the kid gonna be? I said it. I said it.
All wrong.
I said it 2 foot tall. He's probably gonna be over 100 pounds.
2 foot tall, over 100 pounds?
Yeah.
Keeps eating the way he's eating, yeah.
Yeah, it could happen.
It's gonna have legs, right?
Those are the legs.
It's gonna have taller legs, right? What's it sitting on?
No, the mattress is gonna be right here. This is what the woman ordered. You're the second person to bring this up.
Yeah.
I've got drawings and everything. You guys are all freaking me out.
It's what she ordered. That's all that
You'll back me up on this.
That's what she ordered.
That's her drawing, right?
Doesn't matter.
12 inches.
That's her drawing.
5 inches more. That's her drawing.
We are within spec.
Yep.
All right. Quit bitching.
Hey, you just follow her orders. She's the one.
Then once we started putting that together, I think he kind of realized we were going a little heavy. So a lot of our other details, we started to use thinner stuff.
We went with smaller stuff here. Again, weight is constantly on my mind when I was designing this. So this is thin, where this is all thick. So this is like, I don't know, maybe a 1/16 of an inch thick. This is almost a 1/4 of an inch thick. And again, the reason I did that is because this is all structural. I'm gonna be bolting stuff into this and everything else, where this is all just to try to keep that weight down. I went with smaller stuff here because it don't need to support a lot of weight. This isn't the bed, this is where those drawers are gonna slide in. How much can diapers and underwear weigh?
There was plasma cutting, which we used for the sides of it, where we did the circle. We had ended up actually running into an issue with the plasma cutter because we can only cut 4x4 sheets on there and not 5 foot. I think that's what it is now. So we ended up having to do 2 separate parts for each end.
The plan was to have it done way before Walker came, which was in July was when he was due.
Other stuff comes up. I think you're probably gonna, I don't really even recollect all of what it was.
COVID happened and everything at the deli kind of blew up. We were like in the middle starting the coffee stuff, and then everything got a little crazy. We had to cut way back on staff, so we were working a lot up there. We had Rattler show up.
I think that was the deli remodel.
And then just everything else in our daily lives.
It's a little bit of everything.
But every time something came up, the crib got put to the side. The crib got put to the side. So it worked pretty good between me and Cassie because I was able to just give her a list of what needed fabricated, and she'd get these pieces done, and we'd go out there. We kind of worked on it in spurts.
So what I'm doing now is I'm gonna drill holes in the bottom of this. This is upside down. This will actually be the bottom that bolts right to the top of that platform. And I'm gonna actually put threads into that thicker steel that I put down on the bottom of it, and then we'll bolt this to it, and this will be really rigid. It should be as strong as it would be if I literally had that all welded as one piece. You should have 0 give when I'm done with this. So I'm gonna put 4 bolts in this, probably 2 here and about 2 right here. I'll drill the holes in this, then we'll set it on that rack. We'll drill holes in that, we'll tap those in, and we'll bolt these on, and then we can start working on the part that's gonna start looking like a crib. Okay, you ready? Okay, you should be able to let go. So, as I was telling you, the design of this thing was meant just one piece right here. And because I couldn't go that tall on my cutter, we cut this circle out here, and you'll see why later, but it won't matter. You won't see any of this when we're done, because there's going to be detail going all around that and everything. But I did this. All this that I'm having to do right now is so that I can turn this into one taller panel. And that's why we did that. So when we take these bolts out right here, this whole side will lift off. There won't be any tin going down the side of it at all. So they can carry just this panel in. There's a lot of work that has to be done on those panels yet, but
So we kind of built it in stages, made sure it would go together. Then we started working on more of the details. Came up with a way for the rails to go in. Did it the same way I do everything. I had a plan, but a lot of the details weren't worked out, and then some of the details changed during the build. Cassie loves it when that happens, by the way. Don't let her tell you anything different. Once we got that worked out, I knew I wanted the wood going around the arch. I knew I wanted the wood in the center, and we knew we wanted to do something special there.
So we went up to my Uncle Josh's shop.
He owns a millwork company, a cabinet company. So he helped me out with the wood.
I don't know the wood that they chose to use, but Shane will be able to tell you.
I think it was birch. Yeah? And, you know, walnut. The wood we used on the crib was a walnut.
And we worked on getting the spindles put together.
The spindles were unique for me. Again, they're a little bit, I think some of that stuff, we just have better equipment, so we can do some of the stuff a little different than what most do. So you don't really realize it. You just see these square spindles, but they're actually two boards that are, you know, glued and pinned together. And then you cut them down to a square that's a little bit oversized, and then we ran those things through the planer multiple times to get them to an exact perfect size so they would fit inside the square tubing that we put on the side of it. So the wood on the ends, we mounted that to plywood so we as one big square piece, and then we put that on the router.
Cut out the circles on the router, and then I stained everything and clear coated it. And then we finally put it all together.
Came up with a plan as to how we could mount it, which again was pretty complex because I wanted no visible fasteners.
I helped him install some of the wooden pieces that are on it, specifically the top of it. You have these two ends, and they have this round shape at the top.
snug. That's plenty tight. I want to bend the hell out of the wood.
Exactly what you're trying to do. And then you have a layer of thin plywood that that cover the shape of the metal at the top. And so I just helped him install these multiple layers of plywood on it.
We made some really thin pieces of wood so that we could bend them and make the arch that goes over the round top of it.
And then when that glue dries, it'll hold that. They're pushing against each other, and the more you put on, when this is done, I pretty much expect this piece to literally be that shape.
It's the molecule.
It's the molecules. But Mike's not here, so he's not going to be impressed.
The molecules. That is something I learned from Mike. He works with my Uncle Josh up at his cabinet shop. But pretty much we've discovered if you want to convince Mike of anything, just say it's the molecules and he's convinced.
I'm very satisfied with the project overall. The steps are pretty much fabricate metal, cut metal. We had to do some fancy plasma cutting of some of it to get the arch and do some of the things we did there. Then we had to put it all together.
But he did recently finish it.
Probably mid-October is when it finally got done.
We got it done.
Luckily, it was just in time, just because Walker was getting very tight in his bassinet. He's been growing at a rapid rate, and he is way bigger than probably most 4-month-olds are. So he is definitely very, very ready for the crib. So it worked out really well. As far as like the design, like I said, I gave him the basics of what I wanted, but he kind of came up with the look and the concept of it. He knows we really like the wood and steel look. And so he kind of messed around with different ways he could build it, and I think he did a really good job with what he came up with. Like he mentioned, my Uncle Josh actually helped us with a lot of the woodwork and gave us some really, really pretty walnut. And it looks really, really good with the steel contrast.
It's a really beautiful crib. I mean, he did an excellent job, and like I said, completely custom.
I intentionally built it so that it could come into 3 pieces because I knew it was going to be heavy. And there's no way we could have carried that thing up the stairs the way that it is now.
Unfortunately, I was also involved with carrying the crib. So, like I mentioned, it's very heavy. He's going to say this whole thing might weigh 350 pounds. I think he's flipping crazy to say that. I'm thinking probably the pieces might weigh almost 300 pounds a piece. I mean, this crib is insanely heavy. I told him, I said, install it upstairs in our apartment. I'm worried about me and this crib standing in the same position. Worried that the floor is just gonna give way.
Why do do I always have to have a favorite part about a build? The favorite part about the build is it's done. Does that sound right, Cassie? I think that's always the favorite part of the build. Favorite part of the build for me is always working with Cassie and finishing the project. This one, of course, was a little more special, and the favorite part of this is going to go year after year after year after year as this is passed down from kid to kid. This will be an heirloom. I haven't made a whole lot of things that I really think would be an heirloom, but I expect this to be an heirloom. So there's that. But favorite part of the project, honestly, is getting it done, because this one really drug out and it was a lot of work.
But it's something, like he said, we'll treasure for a long, long time. We plan to pass it along to all of us, whether whoever has kids, we'll kind of pass it around to all of us girls and our babies. So it's pretty special to have something like that to keep in the family.
It's got different design elements to it that'll be able to change over time. So as he grows, it could be used as a regular bed instead of a crib.
My favorite part about the crib is probably going to be the wood ends. I think they turned out really well, even though they were a slight pain in the butt getting it to fit.
You did mess up a little bit on one of them, and I'm trying to remember what it was. It was too tight.
Which I'm not going to say is my fault. It's just bent. It's fine.
And I don't think she measured anything. I think she just assumed that she made the arch in the computer, so after we welded it together, bent it, twisted it, pulled it, yanked on it, threw it on the ground, stepped on it, put it back together, that it would be the exact same size as what she drew on her computer.
One of the circles worked out perfectly fine. The other end was just a little bit of prying.
So we had to fight it pretty hard getting the circles put in. But yeah, that's the crib.
The end. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I don't know. Like, it's comment. I was like, there's a third one. What is it? Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.